When They Found Me, Reclaiming Identity After a Lifetime of Searching. You know that feeling when you finally find your keys after tearing apart your entire house, only to realize they were in your hand the whole time. Now imagine that. But the keys are your entire identity, and the house is your life, and you've been searching for 27 years. That's not a metaphor. That's the lived reality of Courtney Evans, a human being whose story I had the profound honor of witnessing. And let me tell you something about Courtney. This person is doing the work that makes the world softer, safer, and more honest for Black men navigating trauma, identity, and the courage it takes to choose healing over hiding. Their story isn't just powerful, it's necessary. And what they shared with me will shake you, heal you, and hopefully set something free inside you that's been waiting to breathe. So let's talk about what happens when your entire foundation is built on a story that isn't true. Courtney was adopted at 2 years old, found out at 13, spent their teen years in what they call troubled mode, which is a polite way of saying survival looked like rebellion because no one taught them how to grieve. Then came the breakdown at 27, the kind that doesn't ask permission, the kind that shows up in your body, your mind, your spirit, and says, "We're done pretending now." And then just recently, their biological family found them, not the other way around. They found them. Let that sit for a second. Because here's what we don't talk about enough: adoption trauma is real. Abandonment issues don't care how old you were when it happened. And for Black men, especially, the world doesn't give you space to fall apart. You're supposed to be strong. You're supposed to hold it together. You're supposed to carry everyone else and never, ever ask for help. But Courtney is here to tell us that script is a lie. Imagine being a kid just trying to figure out middle school and acne and whether anyone's going to sit with you at lunch, and then someone drops a bomb that rewrites your entire origin story. You're adopted. The people you thought were your blood aren't. And suddenly, every question you've ever had about yourself: why do I look like this? Why do I feel like this? Why don't I fit? Gets louder. And here's the thing: Courtney didn't get therapy, didn't get a safe space to process, didn't get a roadmap for what to do with all that rage and confusion and grief. So they did what a lot of us do: they acted out, they pushed boundaries, they became what the world labeled them: troubled. But troubled is just another word for hurting without help. Studies show that adopted Black children face 2 to 4 times higher rates of behavioral issues during their teen years. And it's not because they're broken, it's because abandonment trauma lives in the body. It shows up as anger, as rebellion, as a desperate need to test whether anyone will stay. And when you're a Black kid in a system that already sees you as a problem, that trauma gets criminalized instead of healed. Courtney survived those years, but survival isn't the same as living. And by 27, the weight of carrying all that unprocessed pain caught up. The breakdown wasn't a failure, it was the body finally saying, "I can't hold this anymore." Think about that for a moment. Your body keeps score. Every wound you ignore, every emotion you stuff down, every time you tell yourself you're fine when you're falling apart, your body remembers. And eventually it demands to be heard. For Courtney, that demand came at 27. Research tells us that Black men experience breakdowns most often between ages 27 and 30, right when unaddressed trauma peaks. It's not coincidence. It's the collision of years of silence meeting the impossibility of continuing to carry what was never yours to carry in the first place. But here's where the story shifts. Here's where it gets interesting. Courtney didn't go looking for their biological family, they found them. And that shift, that moment of being sought instead of seeking, changed everything. Because for so long, the narrative was, I was given away, I wasn't wanted, I wasn't enough. But when they reached out, when they said, "We've been looking for you," it flipped the script. It said, You were always ours. We just got separated. Late life reunions, especially those happening after age 25, resolve identity crises for 60% of adoptees. Depression drops by 40%. And it's not because finding your biological family magically fixes everything. It's because it answers the question that's been haunting you your whole life. Where do I come from? Who am I really? And for Courtney, that answer didn't erase the pain, but it gave them permission to stop running from it. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. I don't have adoption trauma. This doesn't apply to me, but here's the truth. We all have origin wounds. We all have moments where we were taught to hide, to perform, to be strong instead of soft. And if you're a high achieving Black woman who spent decades holding everyone else together, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You've been carrying a cape you never asked for. You've been the strong one, the reliable one, the one who doesn't break. And somewhere along the way, you forgot that softness isn't weakness, that rest isn't laziness, that saying no without guilt is actually a form of self love. Courtney's story reminds us of three fundamental truths that we need to tattoo on our hearts. First, resilience breaks cycles. No matter how deep the trauma, from early adoption and abandonment to teen rebellion and adult breakdowns, you can rebuild without letting it define you. 70% of people who seek therapy after a breakdown report rebuilt lives. Rebuilt, not perfect, not pain free, but whole in a way they weren't before. That word rebuilt carries weight. It acknowledges that something was broken. It honors the fact that you didn't just bounce back like nothing happened. You had to do the work. You had to sit in the discomfort. You had to face the parts of yourself you'd been running from. And on the other side of that, you found something stronger than what you started with. Second, truth sets you free. Discovering your roots at any age, even when they find you, heals identity wounds and unlocks your real power. Because when you know where you come from, you stop apologizing for who you are. Think about how much energy we waste trying to figure out where we belong, how much time we spend molding ourselves to fit into space that were never designed for us. How many versions of ourselves we've presented to the world, hoping one of them would finally be acceptable. But when you know your truth, when you understand your origin, you stop performing. You stop auditioning for approval. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You just exist fully, unapologetically, powerfully. And third, men's mental health demands action. Black men, face your breakdowns head on. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's the path to leading stronger. Let me say that again because we need to hear it. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's the path to leading stronger. We live in a world that tells Black men they have to be invincible, that asking for help is failure, that showing emotion is a liability. But research shows that those who confront their pain, who reach out to family, who go to therapy, who stop pretending they're fine, see 50% mental health gains. 50%. That's not small. That's life changing. That's the difference between surviving and thriving. That's the difference between carrying trauma and releasing it. That's the difference between existing and living. Courtney talked about what it felt like to finally stop running, to sit with the pain instead of numbing it, to let people in instead of pushing them away. And they said something that stuck with me. They said, I spent so long thinking I had to earn love. Like if I was good enough, strong enough, successful enough, maybe someone would choose me. But healing taught me I was always worthy. I just didn't know it yet. Read that again. I was always worthy. I just didn't know it yet. How many of us are walking around believing we have to earn our place at the table? How many of us are hustling for validation, grinding for approval, performing for acceptance? How many of us have internalized the lie that we're only as valuable as what we produce, what we achieve, what we give? Courtney's healing journey teaches us that worthiness isn't something you earn, it's something you remember. It's something you reclaim. It's something you've always had, even when the world tried to convince you otherwise. And isn't that the whole point? We're not here to hustle our way into worthiness. We're here to remember we've always been enough. We're here to drop the cape, set the boundaries, rest without explanation, and choose ourselves without apology. So, what does this look like practically? Because I'm not about to leave you inspired with no action steps. Here's what I want you to do this week: journal one abandonment wound or identity gap that's been holding you back. Just one. Write it down, look at it, name it. Give it space to breathe instead of shoving it down one more time. And then reach out to one family tie or therapist. Make the call, send the text, book the session. Act now. No more hiding, no more waiting for the perfect moment, no more telling yourself you'll deal with it later. Because here's what Courtney taught me: healing isn't about fixing yourself, it's about coming home to yourself. And sometimes, like Courtney, home finds you when you're finally ready to be found. But you have to be ready, you have to be willing, you have to stop running long enough to let the truth catch up with you. I want you to remember that resilience breaks cycles. Your trauma doesn't get the last word, you do. Truth sets you free. Knowing who you are, where you come from, that's power. And men's mental health demands action. Vulnerability is strength. Asking for help is courage. Breaking down is sometimes the only way to break through. If you're sitting there thinking, but I don't know if I'm strong enough to do this, let me tell you something. You already are. The fact that you're still here, still trying, still showing up, that's strength. Softness doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're brave enough to stop pretending. Courtney Evans is living proof that you can survive the worst and still choose to thrive, that you can be abandoned and still find your way home, that you can break down at 27 and build something beautiful by 30. Their story isn't just about adoption or identity or men's health. It's about what happens when you finally give yourself permission to be human, when you stop carrying what was never yours to carry, when you choose healing over hiding, when you decide that your peace matters more than your performance. So here's my challenge to you, and I mean this with everything in me: stop waiting for permission, stop waiting for the right time, stop waiting to be found. Go find yourself. Reach out to that family member you've been avoiding, book that therapy session you've been putting off. Write that journal entry you've been too scared to start. Do it messy, do it scared, do it anyway. Because the world needs you whole, not just functional. The world needs you soft, not just strong. The world needs you free, not just surviving. And to every Black man listening, I see you. I see the weight you carry. I see the mask you wear. I see the pain you hide. And I'm telling you right now, you don't have to do this alone. Your breakdown isn't your ending, it's your breakthrough waiting to happen. To every high achieving woman who's been told to be strong, to hold it together, to keep going no matter what, I'm giving you permission to stop, to rest, to cry, to ask for help, to choose yourself without apology. Your softness is your superpower. Your vulnerability is your strength. Your healing is your revolution. Courtney found their family because they were finally ready to be found. But more importantly, they found themselves. And in doing so, they're showing the rest of us the way home. So, what are you waiting for? The life you've been searching for is waiting on the other side of your courage. The identity you've been seeking is already inside you. The healing you've been craving is available the moment you decide you're worth it. You are worth it. You've always been worth it. Now go prove it to yourself.